Hello, welcome to the League of Women Voters of Chicago Zoning with the Alderman, a series of interviews with the Alderman for the City of Chicago. Founded 102 years ago right here in Chicago, the Chicago League is a nonpartisan and political organization. My name is Esther Callan. I've been a League member for a number of years, and I'm looking forward to this interview. The League of Women Voters encourages the informed and active participation of its members. We want our people to be understanding of major public policy issues and what influences public policies through education and advocacy. The Chicago League is among over 100 local leagues across the United States. So we're all interested in providing information about government so that the local people in every part of the country, if they wish, can be better prepared to understand the issues of their local governments. These interviews with the aldermen, and we've done several so far, are part of our efforts to educate people about those who represent them, about policies and ordinances that govern us here in Chicago. Today, our guest is Alderman Carlos Ramirez-Rosa of the 35th Ward. Welcome, Alderman. We appreciate your taking the time to be with us. A little explanation. Okay. This interview is being recorded on Zoom. If you are interested in seeing it later on, you go to our website. Those of you who are not League members will be sent the website information, and then you can find out when you can, then you can find the interview and watch it. Please know also that the Alderman has received the questions beforehand that I'll be asking him today. We are going to take a look at the map of the city of Chicago. Alderman Rosa is from the 35th Ward, so we will have that highlighted for us in a few seconds. And then we should have the 35th Ward. There it is. All right. Now let's get started. Alderman Rosa, please describe your ward, where it is and what the main boundaries are.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be on with the League of Women Voters. The 35th Ward is located on the northwest side of the city of Chicago. I'd like to think of it about equidistant from downtown to O'Hare Airport along the Blue Line. So we have the Logan Square Blue Line stop right off of Kedzie, which is the easternmost boundary of the 35th Ward. And then we also have the Belmont Blue Line stop at the intersection of Belmont and Kimball, which is approximately the center of the ward. We stretch from 1800 south all the way up to 4800, 1800 north, all the way up to 4800 north, so about 30 blocks from north to south. And then from east to west, for the vast majority of the ward, our eastern boundary is Kedzie, and then our western boundary is Central Park, but there are portions in Albany Park where I represent Lawrence Avenue from Kimball to, from Central Park to Pulaski. And then I represent Fullerton from just west of Kedzie to just west of Pulaski. And then I'm proud to represent Armitage from Pulaski to Costner. So it winds through the northwest side from about Armitage up through Lawrence.
Yes, I see that. It's an interesting layout. What neighborhoods are included in your ward?
So I represent portions of 5 neighborhoods. From north to south, it's Albany Park, Irving Park, Avondale, Logan Square, and Hermosa. And the largest neighborhood that overlaps with the 35th Ward is Logan Square. It makes up about a third of the ward.
And how would you describe your ward? Is it commercial, industrial, residential?
So our ward is extremely diverse. It's made up of single-family homes, 2 flats, 3 flats, 4 flats, a few courtyard buildings, not too many, a few larger apartment buildings. We are home to the Kennedy Kimball Industrial Corridor, which is a place with manufacturing. There's breweries. That is, of course, by Kimball Avenue, where it intersects with the Kennedy Expressway. And then we also have the Pulaski Industrial Corridor by Pulaski and Armitage. So we do have some light manufacturing and some heavy commercial spaces, but for the most part, we're extremely residential. And then, of course, we have our commercial corridors: Armitage, Fullerton, Diversey, Belmont, of course, Milwaukee Avenue, and then we have Irving Park, Addison, Montrose, Lawrence further north.
That certainly is a very diverse community, I have to admit. When did you first join the city council?
So I ran in 2014 and was elected in February of 2015. And so I'm marking my 7th year as an alderman in the city of Chicago.
And then you went on to run for candidate for alderman again in 2019. What made you want to do that?
You know, I think the job is extremely interesting. I love what I do. I love being able to serve people. It's an honor and a privilege. And there were a number of projects that we initiated during my first term that we wanted to see through in the second term. So I'm proud to have been able to build new affordable housing in our community. I'm proud to have been able to pass ordinances to protect immigrants. Those are all things that took several years. And that we started working on in my first term, and we're finally able to win during my second term.
Yes. And do you have other employment besides city council?
No, I'm a full-time elected official. My day-to-day starting with my first phone call at 8 a.m. and I'll likely be going till 6 or 7 p.m. tonight working for the people.
Oh, good. That sounds like you have a very full schedule. I did read a little about you that you were active in immigration rights, and I think that's very important. And are the immigrants from a variety of countries, or are they mainly one particular ethnic group, language group?
So Chicago is home to people that come from all across the globe and from all across the United States. Immigration and migration are what have created the great city of Chicago. The 35th Ward for many, many decades was the heart of Chicago's Polish community. I represent an area that used to be known as Żakowo, which is Milwaukee Avenue in Avondale. Since then, we've seen an increase in immigration from Latin America. There was a sizable Cuban population, Puerto Rican population. Now, the largest group is Mexican American. And then we also have many Central Americans, folks from Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. And then we also have a Korean American population and a Filipino American population. So we definitely, have folks from all across the globe in our community.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What are some of the key issues of the people of your ward?
Well, the people of the 35th Ward, they are working class and middle class families. Like so many other Americans, they struggle to make ends meet. They struggle with rising property taxes. There's concerns related to public safety, our schools, our infrastructure. So people want a better quality of life. And those are the things that we work to address collectively at the local level.
Mm-hmm. I noticed in some reading that you had been on a local school council. Are you still on that council?
So you are not allowed to serve as an alderman and also serve as a local school council member at the same
Okay.
time. So I did have to resign my position once I became alderman. But I was on 2 separate local school councils, actually 3 if you count my time as a high school student as my student representative at Whitney Young. But most recently, prior to becoming alderman, I served on the Avondale, Logandale Local School Council.
Yes, and that election is coming up soon. Like other city council members, you serve on a number of different council committees. Could you pick one of these committees and tell us about it? What kind of matters come before it?
Yes, so I sit on the budget committee. That's probably the most important committee that I sit on. We vote on the city's proposed budget. We also, vote on any amendments to the budget throughout the year. We also are tasked with keeping an eye out on the various city departments and their budget and the money that they're spending throughout the year. So I think it's obviously extremely important. Where we spend our money says so much about who we are as a city. And the single most important thing that aldermen do during the year is setting the budget for the following year.
Okay, is there another committee you might like to tell us about?
Yeah, I also like to highlight the Health and Human Relations Committee. Obviously, the Health and Human Relations Committee has oversight over the Chicago Department of Public Health, which has played a critical role in protecting Chicagoans during this global pandemic. The Health and Human Relations Committee also oversees the city's Commission on Human Relations, which seeks to protect the basic rights of Chicagoans and protect Chicagoans of all different backgrounds from discrimination. So as a committee, we look at things related to human rights. We look at things related to health. Just today, we had a hearing on mental health and the programs that the city of Chicago is implementing to address the mental health needs of Chicagoans.
Yeah, so that's quite important. Having been on the city council for a term and almost 2 terms now, do you have any ideas about things you might like to change in the way the city council functions? And you're shaking your head.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's important that the city council become a truly legislative, deliberative body. I think democracy is a good thing. I would like to see a city council that elects its own council president separate from the mayor. That's very rare among major American cities. If you look at the New York City Council, they elect a council president. So the mayor does not preside over their council meetings. I think that would help lead to a more independent and robust legislative body for our city. I also think that the city council should be choosing its own committee chairs. And I also think that we should expand the number of committees. There are so many things from senior issues to veterans issues that we should be discussing as a city council. And if we are able to create additional committees to deal with our elders, to deal with veterans, to deal with individuals that are returning from jail, these are all things that other cities have committees set up to look at. I think we'd be a lot more productive as a legislature. And lastly, I think it's also just changing the culture as well. For many, many years, individuals that were members of the city council said, I'm going to give my votes to the mayor. And I'm just going to vote for whatever the mayor puts in front of me. And in exchange, I'm going to have full control of everything that goes on in my ward. I don't think that that's worked well for the people of the city of Chicago. I think that, we need to have a city council that's serious about legislating. Obviously, yes, the mayor is going to play a major role in proposing and pushing through legislation, but the council has an important role to play in that process as well.
Mm-hmm. How many committees are there on the city council?
So if I remember correctly, I believe in this moment there's 21 committees, but I would have to double check that since I don't serve on all of them.
Right. Well, how many does a typical alderman serve on?
It's really up to the alderman. Some aldermen don't like to serve on all that many committees, but I would say the typical alderman serves on about 5 or 6 committees.
Oh, that sounds like it could be certainly enough to keep you quite busy. And you stay on the same committee throughout your term as alderman?
Yes. So at the beginning of the term, we vote on the committee makeup. And that is when we assign committees, and those will be your committees for the rest of the term, unless we vote to amend the committee assignments.
Mhm. Excuse me for being old-fashioned and keep saying alderman, but I can't quite get alderperson or alder together with my habits, just a little
No
bit.
worries.
Well, one of the serious issues in our city is that of gun violence. What are a few of the actions that the city council is undertaking to try and, well, limit at least, if not eradicate, gun violence?
In the past, the city council has attempted to restrict people's access to guns in the city of Chicago. Those efforts have been complicated by Supreme Court rulings, which have affirmed the Second Amendment right to bear arms. What the city council has discussed now is how do we prevent young people from taking up arms and being involved in violence or violent crime. Consistently, the city of Chicago has sought to create summer youth programs. As a city, we have also looked at creating new violence prevention programs that reach people where they're at, after school programs. So I think that obviously prevention is critical. And I look forward to working with my colleagues to continue to build out the types of programs that are proven based off of decades of research to actually prevent people from turning to violence and turning to crime.
Mm-hmm. And have you found cooperation among the various aldermen in the council?
I think one of the interesting things about the Chicago City Council is that almost all of the members of the City Council identify as Democrats. But when you look at their actual stances, you actually find a wide array of opinions. It's a very diverse City Council. We most certainly have a left, we have a center, we have a right on this City Council. So I think that there are members of the City Council that would be more to the right. And they believe, that we need harsher punishments, that we need more criminalization, that we need to lock up young people for longer periods of time. I think that there are those of us who then feel that we need to look at evidence that shows what are the types of things that actually prevent young people from engaging in violence, and how do we actually prevent that from happening in our neighborhoods. So I think that there is some discord and some disagreement in terms of how to move forward in this moment. What I'm clear on is that we don't want to repeat the same failed policies of the past. We have tons of research from many different cities about what are the types of interventions that work. Unfortunately, we have not yet been able to reach a majority of council members that are committed to really seeing through the types of programs that we need to implement.
Do you have any issues with how the courts handle these juvenile offenders?
Well, I'm very proud to have partnered with Chief Justice Evans to open up a restorative justice court in Avondale, one of the communities that I represent. What we have found is that a lot of young people, oftentimes make mistakes. And that mistake should not lead to the rest of their life being destroyed. And so for nonviolent offenses, for first-time offenders, for young people in their early 20s and their late teens, we want to make sure that we're treating them as a person and a young person who needs care and who needs support. So through the restorative justice court, the young person, rather than going through a traditional court process, instead they come to the community court in Avondale and they speak with neighbors, and we discuss what did the person do, what was the harm that they caused, and what are they going to do to make amends. And if they successfully complete the program, which can take months, then they will not end up with a criminal record. I think what we also need to do is make sure that young people that are coming out of jail have the support that they need. Oftentimes, young people enter jail for minor offenses and they come out hardened criminals. And they then have no real ability to change their life. Because now all they know is the things that they picked up from hardened criminals in jail. So I think that we need to make sure that when young people are coming out of jail, that they're entering into job programs, that they're entering into an environment that's going to support them so that they don't have to turn to more violence or more crime, because that's all they feel that they know now.
Mm-hmm. That sounds very interesting. I would hope that something like that would be successful. Our next question has to do with Rule 41. That allows the mayor and the city departments to present a bill without going into the details about it. Then the vote is taken, but the public has not had a chance to find out anything about it. So, you know, league members do come and visit city council and read up about it in the papers. And the issue is that when the city council regularly passes an agenda for which the contents and text are not in the bill at that time, and it's approved, but it's approved without any input by the public. And I was wondering what you thought about that. Would you, for
Yeah.
example, there's a suggestion that information about what is going to go into this bill 2 business days at least before the actual vote is taken.
Yes, I'm really glad that the League of Women Voters is taking this issue up. I think it is one of the reforms that we need to implement within the Chicago City Council. We are governed by state law and the Open Meetings Act. That obviously does require us to state what are the items that are going to be debated, what are the items that are going to be voted upon. We do need to provide, you know, the proper 48-hour notice time in order to take up.
Oops.
I just got cut off.
Oh, okay.
Continue. I think that we absolutely need to go beyond the floor set by state law, right? We need to understand that just because state law says, look, if you put something on the agenda, you can vote on it 40 hours later, that doesn't mean that that's where we should stop. I think we need to go beyond that. And we need to stipulate and say that no item can be voted on unless it's been posted on the city clerk's website for at least 48 hours. And I don't think that will be that onerous of a standard to meet. What that means then is if the mayor or another member of the city council wants to bring forward a substitute ordinance, they can bring forward the language, we can discuss it at a meeting, and then we can post it online, and 48 hours later, we can come back and take action. I think that that's a very reasonable, good government measure to implement, and I'm glad that the league is taking this issue up.
Oh, thank you very much. On the subject of local elections, when you have an aldermanic and mayoral election in February, the winner is supposed to be someone who has 50% plus 1 votes to win. Now, sometimes you don't get anybody with 50% plus 1 vote. And so in order to find the winner, a runoff election is offered a couple months later. What do you think about ranked choice voting and how that might help this problem so that we only have 1 election and the one who is number 1 is really the first choice?
Yes, many countries, many cities across the United States have successfully implemented ranked choice voting. I think it's a common sense democratic reform. It's more democratic. It really just allows people to clearly then stipulate, this is my first choice, this is my second choice. And if the first choice doesn't get enough votes, then your vote still counts. And I think that's the really beautiful thing about ranked choice voting, is that you still get to have a say. And I think you end up in a situation sometimes where people split the vote, right? You might have candidates with very similar platforms, similar backgrounds, a similar vision, and they might appeal to the same type of voter. And what ends up happening is that voters have to then decide, am I going to vote for just this candidate or just this candidate? And there's always that fear of splitting the vote. Ranked choice voting really allows people to vote more confidently, to say, you know what, I like this person slightly better, I'll rank them first, but I know that if they don't get enough votes, then my vote will go to the number 2 person on my list. So I'm for it. I actually did explore pushing forward a measure last term in support of ranked choice voting. Unfortunately, at that point in time, we didn't get enough support in the city council, but I think it's definitely worth exploring further.
It seems to be picking up interest. If the League of Women Voters wanted to support one of the initiatives that you are presenting, what steps would you recommend our members do? Call the alderman, write the alderman. Go ahead, please.
Yes, absolutely. You got it. You got to call your alderperson. You got to write your alderperson, email them, organize a meeting. Do not underestimate the ability of an organized group of neighbors in your ward. If you get together 5, 10, 15, 20 people and you all say, hey, alderperson, we want you to support this. We want to meet with you. We want to talk to you about this policy. That is so critically important. And so whenever there are people that want to support something that I'm working on, or just good government measures, or whatever it is that we're pushing at the Chicago City Council, I think it's always good to just have a sense of where does your alderman stand on this issue? And if they're not taking the position that you'd like them to see, organize your neighbors to create an organized effort to reach out to them and lobby them, in essence. Have regular citizens lobby them to say, we need you to stand with us on this issue and support this measure moving forward.
Mhm. And this would extend to perhaps a particular issue where you would have to get the whole city council involved. I think not just your neighbors. Yes, I think that's very good ideas. And of course, you can write to them online, I suppose, too. I don't know.
Yes.
People check their email for what their supporters are writing to them or not, but that would certainly be very interesting too. All
Yeah.
right, we're coming to our last question. What are several things you would like to get done, or at least get started? I know you mentioned a few things earlier on, during the remainder of your term, which ends next year in 2023.
There are a number of housing protections. We have seen the cost of housing increase exponentially in some of our neighborhoods. Other cities have successfully implemented what's called just cause for eviction or good cause eviction. Those are things that really help stabilize neighborhoods and ensure that we have neighborhoods that are diverse. There's been a proposal before the city council to implement that here in the city of Chicago. I definitely would like to continue to push for that and see that through. In addition to that, we are in the process of implementing our city's civilian oversight body. So for the first time ever, the city of Chicago will be able to select civilians to be able to actually make police policy and play a role in the policies and the direction of the Chicago Police Department. So, I'm actually working on making sure that we have a good group of civilian commissioners that are appointed to the interim commission. That's the Empowering Communities for Public Safety Ordinance, if anyone wants to look that up. And then we are also working on a number of local projects. So I'm working with community groups, to build out new recreation space. I'm working with community groups to increase pedestrian and traffic safety. And then, of course, we're working with community groups to spur and build more affordable housing in the community.
Oh, okay, that sounds like a full plate. So we've come to the end of our questions. Do you have anything you'd like to tell us?
Well, I just want to express my appreciation for the League of Women Voters. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, Esta. Civic organizations are the backbone of a strong community. And if we don't have an active and engaged citizenry, then we will not be able to succeed as a city. So kudos to the League of Women Voters members, and kudos to everyone that's involved in their neighborhood, in their ward, wherever they may be, because active neighbors are what lead to safer communities and stronger communities and a better quality of life for everyone.
Well, that was very good. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Alderman Rosa, thank you very much for being with us today. And please stay on after we turn off so that we can speak to you a little bit longer. A message to all the people who are viewing: remember that this is a recording and you can watch this within, I think, a day by going to the League website. It will be sent to you, the link will be sent to you so that you can go to the League website and see this interview. Also, we would like to remind everybody that on Thursday, March 17th at 6 p.m., we hope you will register to join us when we have another interview. This time, our guest will be Alderman Gilbert Villegas of the 36th Ward. And the details about this will be also posted on our website, and you could probably get it through other links as well. Thank you all for coming today, and please join us again in the future.